It's the 70s. America is hungry for supernatural horror movies after The Exorcist. Hollywood tried to emulate that success. The Omen, The Other, The Reincarnation of Peter Proud, The Possession of Gerald Delaney, Abby, Audrey Rose. The copies focus on replicating one situation, a girl throwing up and screaming obscenities. One attempt to make some of those Exorcist bucks was The Sentinel. It stars Christina Rains, who had a brief career in movies. She's got a very attractive presence, and she's fine in The Sentinel. I liked her best in her short appearance in Ridley Scott's first movie, The Duelists. Here she plays a woman whose background is as a Catholic who had a strange incident involving her father. It's just so silly and goofy. It's like someone who doesn't know anything about perversion trying to come up with a perverted scene. She becomes a model, is looking for a house, and she is brought to a very reasonable place. Is one other tenant, a blind priest who sits up in the top floor. He spends his days just staring out a window. Rains goes to a party by some of the other strange inhabitants. One character, played by Beverly D'Angelo, she masturbates in front of Christina Rains. And that's it. We come to learn that these people are not there. The woman who showed Rains the house says, well, you're the only person who lives there besides the priest. And there's a supernatural event happens, and Rains runs out of the house, and basically that's when Chris Sarandon takes over as her boyfriend, who starts to do all the background research. I saw it ages ago. I didn't like it. I thought it was gross and not scary. I saw it for the second time the other night. I still think it's gross and not scary. You probably won't like it. So why am I talking about it? The Sentinel is brought up, and it's not brought up often. It's in connection to the people used in the climax. Folks with physical abnormalities, and they're supposed to represent the demons of hell. You're not supposed to use something that's tragic to get cheap thrills. I count the original Freaks in this, which many tell me is such a horror classic because it shows the circus people as human. But then the climax is shown as running through the night in the rain and the lightning coming to get you. Back to the Sentinel. The storytelling is just so bizarre, and how this all happens is just so weird. Like, the Catholic Church is trying to make a series of events happen, and yet they don't just come right out and deal with it. Because, you assume, well, that's crazy. People would run away. They wouldn't understand. The priest came up to them and says, hello, I want to talk to you about hell. But the way it's done here is just so ass backwards. Like, they came up with a bunch of scenes and then tried to link them all together into a story. The story doesn't build. They just parade these characters out. And it's just... The movie is just a series of things that happen. It doesn't add up. The Sentinel is the missing link between Rosemary's Baby and Ghostbusters. You've got the old house in New York. You've got the woman who can't quite trust the guy she's with. You've got the strange neighbors. And then you have the 8-way to hell opening up and demons coming through, except they're not made of marshmallow. The 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon of character actors this movie is supporting Christina Rains and top-billed Chris Sarandon, Martin Balsam, Tom Berenger, John Carradine, Beverly D'Angelo, Jose Ferrer, Ava Gardner, Jeff Goldblum, William Hickey, Arthur Kennedy, Burgess Meredith, Sylvia Miles, Jerry Orbach, Nana Visitor, Christopher Walken, Eli Wallach. I don't know, maybe I have to come up with a new category. This isn't no classic, but not bad, because it's bad. But I think it's necessary to watch it if you're into where Hollywood movies were in the late 70s, so that something like Dawn of the Dead and Eraserhead could sneak up on Hollywood and say, no, we're interested in doing something with a little creativity. Frank DeFelitta wrote the book. He handed over the writing and directing to the ironically named Michael Winner, probably most famous for directing Death Wish. The Sentinel doesn't have any kind of mark of creativity from the director, except for the setting. The house is a terrific haunted house, and what little that's effective in the movie comes from that set, particularly in the night that Rain spends in the house and goes in search of the source of some sounds. That's the one effective scene. The Sentinel exploits real human suffering, a competently made movie made by people who don't have any deep thoughts about horror, can still grab you by the nuts just by its pure tastelessness. I'm not sure what that proves. Thanks for stopping by. Hope to see you again soon.